Konnichiwa. Welcome back to another episode of Direct Edition. This is the beginning of the third season. That's right, we are 41 episodes into this podcast, and I couldn't be more proud of myself for sticking with it, and I couldn't be more proud to have listeners who are still listening. I mean, if you are, and if you're not, you won't actually hear me say that, so it doesn't really matter. Everything is all relative. I am sitting here in Tokyo, Japan. It is Friday, November 29th. I'm sitting in my very non-spacious Koenji hotel, which is the Mets hotel in right above Koenji train station. Like, the hotel is right on the train station. And I've been here for 10 days. Or like 9.5 days. And it's been just absolutely blissful, eye-opening, relaxing, fun. You know, for most people, like vacations, those are the things that vacations are supposed to be. But, you know, certain people take vacations to get away from society, civilization, whatever. People, you know, they don't go from living in a city to wanting to go to a really big city. And some people do. The whole like 10 days on the beach type vacation doesn't really do much for me. 3 days is cool. Like that kind of vacation. I used to go to the Caymans. I used to go to the Cayman Island for work, Grand Cayman, like twice a year. And I'd always stay there an extra day or two just to like relax, sit at the beach, whatever. But, it's just not, there's nothing to really do. I'm not a big relaxer. But this, for me, is like immersing myself in a city, in a culture, not doing the tourist things, or at least not doing the major tourist things all the time, and a lot of you know I'm here kind of on a work trip, but work for me also means a lot of downtime or a lot of doing what I like to do and doing what I want to do. This is actually the first thing that I'm recording for the podcast straightforward since I've been here and since about 2 weeks ago. But it has been just a great time. And it's funny if you like try to research or prepare yourself and watch YouTube videos or do research, on just reading articles of like what to do, how to act. You don't really have to at all. Like and having friends here is also a big deal because that helps me be comfortable right away. But like they do appreciate it when you say arigato gozaimasu. It's just that kind of thing, like that little thing you can do. And I'm trying to pick up some words, ohayo gozaimasu is good morning, and just kind of, you can just bow your head when somebody kind of says hello if you don't feel like, saying konnichiwa. I think people understand that there's a huge gap of culture, but my God, people here are so respectful, and that's something you hear a lot. You hear about how it is a very respectful society, but in a way that I can't even completely contextualize or verbalize. It just feels like this is how a society is supposed to be, or how people are supposed to be to each other, and how you can have millions of people that live in some type of cohesion. The subway I knew was going to be a culture shock to me because, especially as a New Yorker, I took the New York City subway for, a couple years, on the regular, and, even more years before that on the irregular. And then I was on the Long Island Railroad for 6 years straight or 5 years straight. So it's like, I know what public transportation is like. I mean, I never lived in Chicago, so I don't, I don't know how different it is from New York, but it's all kind of the same when you think about how people act in the States. Um, the most shocking thing, I think, to me on the surface level is walking around, no matter, unless you're in one of the major train stations or areas near the train station, like a Shinjuku or a Shibuya, or a Akihabara or something like that, which are like, your Times Square, your Union Square, your big parts of the city where everything converges. From Koenji, where I'm staying, which is a pretty busy part of town, it's mostly locals, and it's definitely a more, not trendy, but it's more hip in the kind of hipster sense. There's a lot of vintage shops here and stuff. But once you get out of the major just square and you start walking, everything just, all the noise just kind of quiets. There's not a lot of cars in the city. In certain major roads, obviously, there are, but generally, you can walk in the middle of the street for 20 minutes and not even see a car, let alone have to move to the side. I mean, everybody walks or bikes here. And then you start walking around, like there's a bunch of coffee shops that I found that are one's a 20-minute walk and two or a 30-minute walk. And because I'm always seeking out good coffee, as we've discussed on this program, I am a coffee snob. I like good coffee, okay? Don't judge. You forget you're in a city within a block, and then you're walking down these like alleyways and streets that are, can fit only one car. And it's just like the cutest thing, but it's also like surreal. It feels like you're walking on a movie set. And, depending on where I'm walking, the couple of times that I've walked to the same coffee shop, it's not as, my brain isn't exploding, but every time I walk down a new street or a new alleyway, my brain just, it's like fireworks. It's like, how is this real? How is this city have millions and millions and millions of people, and you can walk around, and not only, it's not even about feeling safe or whatever, it's just about the calm, quiet, no noise, no garbage on the streets, it feels like this place and this society and the people in it run like the most well-oiled machine. And I know I'm seeing it through the eyes of a tourist, and I'm seeing it through the eyes of an American. So everything looks greener on all of the grass around the world, for the most part, looks greener on the other side. But it makes me sad to be American. It makes me mad that people can't even just work together for anything good in our country. And it makes me jealous of everybody that lives here. I mean, I know the work-life balance is a big, no from outsiders' eyes to Japan, but that's outsiders' eyes. I can understand, I work as it is, 60 to 80 hours a week. And Sean, who works just as hard as me, and maybe even harder because he has to pay people, employees, but he lives a really nice life here. He's got kids, he's got his family, and he's got a house, and he's got his business, and he really does enjoy what he does. And like I said, he works super hard. He probably works more than the salary man. And so I just, but I am so delighted to be here, and I'm having so much fun, even though I went a little crazy and I bought so much stuff already, and it's still 9 days before I leave, and I'm going to 2 cons, so that, that's going to be dangerous. But I think the cons are just going to be artwork, so I'll spend probably a bunch of money, but it won't bulk up the amount of stuff that I'm buying. But he's taken me to some great places. I've had fantastic meals, and that I guess my gripe, if we want to call it that, or complaints about this country, nothing opens up super early, so I'm like craving coffee because I'm sleeping from about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night to like 5:30 in the morning, and that's about it, which is fine. That's pretty much all I need. I wish I could push it to like 11:30 to 6, but whatever. What are you gonna do? But when I get up in the morning, I either have really two options: the Denny's that's attached to my hotel, which I thought was going to be okay food, and I got the breakfast package, which is probably only like an extra $10 a day or whatever, but I had it like five times, and it's gross. It's gross. Absolutely. The coffee's bad and the food is just kind of gross. So I can go to 7-Eleven in the morning, which is better coffee than Denny's. It's actually decent. It's not good, but it's decent. So I can go to 7-Eleven, grab coffee. I've found a coffee spot that opens up at 8 called Lamari, and I found another one that opens up around the same time that's a little further of a walk. So those are nice, and those are good options, but I wish that I could get there. I found a bistro that's next to the hotel, but it doesn't open up till 9. So I'm waking up in the morning, and it's like I'm awake for 3 hours or so before I consume anything, which is kind of not what I like. But because I don't really have space to move around here, like staying in bed's it's the best option. Or I can go for a morning walk too, which I've done a couple times. But my biggest complaint, and it's not the food portion size, because I can adapt. Like, that's easy. Like, my stomach is shrinking a little bit. I'm not going to complain about that. The liquid portions. No. First off, I'm a fully grown adult male. Stop giving me cups of water that are this big. No. That's not good for humans. And I'm not here to judge the Japanese culture, but some of y'all got some really bad skin, and you know why? You don't drink enough water. I mean, that's in general. People don't drink enough water. I drink 2 things: water and coffee. Occasionally a ginger beer. Stop making me ask you for more water. Just give me a big fucking glass of water. And coffee. Look, what is coffee? It's 2 things. It's beans and water. Give me 16 ounces. Give me 12 ounces. Stop giving me these little glasses of coffee. Just stop. I hate it. I am drinking coffee 3 times a day, maybe even 4 sometimes, just because I am used to getting up, drinking 12 to 16 ounces of coffee, and then I have one more coffee the rest of the day, and that's it. And I'm like, it's liquids. It's not like I'm going to fucking die from drinking too much coffee. I would have died from so many other things that I consumed way too much of. And I'm sure as hell not going to die from drinking too much water. That's not really possible. Anyway, that's really like the complaint that I have, if we're going to say that I have a complaint about Tokyo, Japan. Other than that, the one thing that people do cite is the lack. I mean, they're not fans of using paper goods. I mean, paper towels here are like half plastic, and tissues are this. But it's been fun just like checking things out, walking around the city. Like, I have more fun walking around and just kind of like taking everything in than I do almost any other activities when I'm on vacation. If I'm able to explore a city, like when I go first and second time I went to Edinburgh, I mean, I walked 100 miles, like I was just pounding the pavement, like checking things out, taking things in with my eyes. Like, I go to some museums depending on what the topic is, but like, I've been to the London Museum. I've been to the Museum of Natural History a bunch of times. I've been to the Smithsonian. I've been, and it's like, I'm not going to retain most of this stuff. The visual aspect I will. But like learning about, 16th century painters in the British Museum. British Museum? London Museum? British Museum. Like, I'm just like, I'm never going to fucking retain it. But I'll retain like the visuals. I take a lot of pictures, and obviously on this trip I take a lot of videos. But for me, experiencing Tokyo is the first thing that I do in Japan for an extended period of time is going to make me want to come back, and then I can branch out and I can go to Osaka and I can go to Kyoto and I can go to all these places that people say are beautiful, but it's like, I also just don't like tourist things. I don't. I think it's from years and years of like doing tourist stuff, of traveling so much, and then living in the biggest city in America, the most, densely populated city. I just, and then throw in, a couple years of COVID, working solitary job after, and also at the post office, and it's just like, really need to be around people, and I don't need to see all of the things that everybody says like you need to see, because when somebody tells me I need to do something, I'm generally like, no, I don't. I really don't. I have been doing as much Godzilla stuff as I can in the city because like I'm fascinated. I've been a Godzilla fan my entire life, but I'm fascinated by the fact that like a fictional character, especially one that represents like the origins of Godzilla, is about like the fallout of the nuclear, the two bombs being dropped and like the horrors of nuclear war, and then just kind of morphing into this amazing, like character that's been in whatever 5 dozen movies or whatever. They celebrate Godzilla as if Godzilla was this historical real creature or whatever, and I just think that's amazing. Like, movies are not celebrated the way they are here, that like they're not in the States. Like, sure, movies are huge in the States and Hollywood is in LA, but you don't see Darth Vader statues all over the place. You don't, like every once in a while there's a great Star Wars exhibit or whatever, but it's not celebrated on street corners, on buildings, on everywhere, like Godzilla is, or Ultraman. Like, they take their pop culture, the stuff that they've created, very seriously and very honorably. I mean, I've heard Sean talk about it before. I've heard Ed and Jim talk about it before. But manga here obviously is a huge industry, like so huge. They sell art supplies in every 7-Eleven, not like just pens and pencils, like a little art supply section that if you are a mangaka or you want to go start drawing comics and it's 2:00 in the morning, you go into 7-Eleven, you can get what you need. And you see people on the subway reading it on their phones. And, you don't see a lot of people reading books on the subway. I not a lot of paper in people's hands, but you see it on their phones. Like, I looked over a couple days ago. I was getting ready to get off the train, and I looked over, and there's a girl on her phone reading manga. And then I started to notice it more and more the next day. That's what people were doing on their phones. So it's like this culture. And the culture that I came here to explore and celebrate is super celebrated here. I mean, it's just part of everyday life. I mean, you go into most stores, like I said, even with 7-Eleven and stuff like that, Family Mart, the conbinis, Shonen Jump's in there. There's manga sold everywhere. And you go to the bookstores and huge sections of manga. And it's so awesome to see how celebrated it is here. And video games are celebrated here, and Pokemon and Nintendo and all these things that feel like, sure, Nintendo is celebrated in the States and Pokemon is, but like, it's not at a level where like it's part of the everyday life. For kind of there doesn't really seem to be too many people that get excluded from that celebration of it. So it's been awesome to see that. It's been awesome to be here. Just being able to be in a place, because in Koenji, like I said, it's not a heavy tourist area. I mean, I think maybe whenever I'm walking around Koenji, maybe once every, hour, maybe every, whatever it is, out of every 5,000 people I see is a tourist, is not Japanese. And we can tell who's tourist and not. I've I know people look at me and they know I'm not from here. It's pretty fucking obvious, especially on these days where it's like 57, 60 degrees out, 55. I'm wearing shorts. I have no desire to walk, 8 miles and get on and off the subway and do that all stuff in pants when the sun's shining. Yeah. But yeah, you see some tourists, and then there are definitely a lot of Gaijins that live here. I think I've encountered, I'm kind of keep my ears open to hear if people are speaking English and with an American accent instead of, I've definitely encountered a bunch of British people here. But it seems to be a lot of Europeans here too. So Aussies, because Australia is pretty close by, by plane here. What the other thing that's been really tripping me up, and I've been very hard pressed to figure out if there's another time zone that is a bigger difference. But Seattle, Washington, is 17 hours behind Japan time. But it's not that far, like comparatively. Like New York is 14 hours behind because we're getting, I don't know if you know this, but the Earth is actually not flat. Yeah. So time, the time zones, they get shorter or bigger, but it's still tripping me up that, it's 10:08 a.m. on Friday, November 29th. So Thanksgiving was Thursday was yesterday. And right now it's 3 o'clock and it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Seattle. It's crazy. It's 5 o'clock. I don't understand how that works. But it's 8 o'clock at night on Thanksgiving on the East Coast. So, it's very strange. I don't understand how it works. Plus, they don't recognize daylight savings time here in Japan. So it's like, it's even weirder. It's so much weirder. Daylight savings time is it's bullshit. It's a scam. I don't like it. I don't get it. I want it to be done. The farmers, I don't care. I don't care. So that's been weird. But I haven't had anything like there's no point of this trip where I was like, I'm not enjoying this. I took a break this week after 7 days in this hotel room. I booked a hotel room at a place called Sauna Land in Asakusa. I don't look phonetically. It's Asakusa, but they say it differently. Anyway, so is this sauna hotel. The bottom floor is like a appointment only sauna type thing. With like the sauna, the cold plunge, all that stuff. And then there's 2 floors. There's a 3rd and a 4th floor, and each one of those floors is a room with a private sauna. So I booked it. I actually got the larger one because the smaller one wasn't available. It was only like $250 or something like that. So there's 2 beds, one over there on the other side by the balcony, one here. And you step into the bathroom. And there's the tub, which is cold. And there's the shower. And there's the sauna, which I'm not gonna go into with the camera because it's on and it's hot. And there's the thing for the thing, and the bathroom. Sauna Land, so see you soon. So I may book a hotel next week for one night, just to kind of have a break, because this is, once again, I'm in a very small room. It's got a queen size bed. There's about a foot from the bed and a foot and a half from the bed to the window. Front door's over here. Bathroom's right here. Shower, bidet, toilet, all that stuff. But I'm running out of room. I bought so much stuff. It's like under the bed right now. I don't know if you can see in the corner. I've got stuff because I found a nice little hack, and that hack was to create a Mandarake account, which is the big, geek store. But it's like everything that you could think of, like everything. I put in the shipping address of the hotel, and I can order stuff from the other stores that are too far away. There's the one in Sapporo, Sara, and there's a couple others. So I've been going on that website ordering stuff. I've had 3 or 4 packages shipped here already. It's kind of ridiculous. So, but it's all in the name of Manga Quest 2024, and I'd love to be able to sit down with Brian Moss, and Sean, and kind of talk about Manga Quest, because this whole trip does not exist without Ed Piskor and his love for coming here and the Manga Quest that he did and showing it off on the channel, but really like having his friends on to talk about why they love coming here so much and what they love about the culture and the manga, and going shopping here for it. I mean, it really is a very unique experience when you look at it through the eyes of something like this, because once again, it's such a celebrated part of their culture, and there's so much stuff here that does not exist anywhere else, or books that were made, and artists obviously that never crossed over to even an American market in translation, and just beautiful art in general. Japanese art all around, whether it's painting fine art, whether it's contemporary fine art, or older fine art, or manga, or any of that, anime, it's just so unique to itself. And so I wanted to, about a year and a half ago, I kind of set a goal to learn more about it, to experience it, to read it, and now I'm here. And it wouldn't, if it wasn't for our, community leader, friend, Ed Piskor, I don't think I'd be here. And, whether we lost him this year or not, I would have gone this year. And that I only put it out of my brain when, I decided to move to a new house that I'm renting. But thanks to a lot of you that buy books from me and a lot of hard work, I found myself in a position 2 months after I moved. Yeah, about 2 months after I moved, to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to go. I mean, at the end of the day, look, knock on wood, as long as nothing tragic happens to me, I'll, even though I spent whatever, 5-10 grand on this trip altogether, probably closer to 10, I'll be able to make it back with hard work when I get home. Everything I bought here, 80% of it, maybe 90% of it's going to be for sale. I mean, as much as I love all the stuff that I bought, I'm not made of money, and I can't justify keeping it all, because that would just be insane. That would be the opposite of what I do for my job. But I just feel absolutely fortunate that I was able to get here, and kind of make this trip happen without really second guessing it. And thankful to everybody that supported me on this in the last couple of weeks that I did sales. My friends that are here, and my friends, that live here, and the ones that are visiting, and the friends that I have yet to make, because everybody's really friendly here. And whether they're being friendly because I'm a tourist and, I'm spending money at their coffee shops or whatever, but I think generally people here are excited to have somebody come and visit their local, small coffee shop, or come to their French, Japanese restaurant, and, and get like a full-on meal, which I did the other night. So I've had nothing but good, positive experiences here. I said to Sean the other day, I said, the only people that ever give me the weird stink eye are foreigners. And I can't tell if it's a stink eye or if it's like, hey, like, I've gotten a couple of nods from Americans, and I just nod back. I don't feel like having conversations with everybody that, might be from my country. But it is really a beautiful place, and it is just such a delight to be here. So this is just going to be one part I'll probably do 3 episodes based on the Japan trip, but I wanted to get this on record because, like I said, I'm 10 days into the trip, 9.5 days into the trip. So I've been recording the recaps. What I will probably do is run either maybe I'll get the first 9 recaps after this because they're all kind of brief, or we'll just do a full on, mixtape of the recap episodes. But this has been the first episode of the 3rd season. I think that's a great way to start off with a Konnichiwa from Japan. But before we get going, to my new subscribers, to my old subscribers, if you have not rated this podcast, you can do that in several ways. You can throw a rating on Apple with a star rating and like a little review. On Spotify, you can put a star rating. You can also comment on the episodes. And then on YouTube, you can obviously hit the like button and drop a comment down below. Now, if you do that, there's a good chance if you're leaving a nice little quick comment, maybe even a long one, I'll read it here right on the podcast. I'll give you a shout out and I'll say thank you, because I am thankful for anybody that listens to this idiot ramble on about his life and the things that happen in it. But I really appreciate you being here for the season premiere of season 3, and who knows how many seasons this is going to go. I don't actually have it planned out. It's not like a serialized TV show. So anyway, arigatou gozaimasu. I'll see you next week on Direct Edition, a podcast about nothing and everything. Arigatou gozaimasu. But stop making me